Some people who migrate never return to live in their homeland. What is the experience like for them?
I moved to the UK in 2000, so about 15 years ago, from India. I was born and bred in South India in a place called Kerala, lovely place. I came here to do my degree, and my grandmother lived on her own here, so to live with her as well. When I was doing my degree, the first year or so, when you're sort of integrating yourself and learning more about the culture and all that, trying to understand the accents, I did feel a little bit foreign because in my first assignment, I did law degree, first assignment was to watch a trial in a courtroom, and the guy had an Irish accent and I had to take notes. I came back with a blank page and I was like, I don't have anything. I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Indian culture is very conservative in the sense that you don't have as much freedom of expression. Everything is set in their ways and there is a certain path you follow. So you go to school, you go to university, you get a degree, you get a job, then you do your master's, then it's all like that. That's the way it is. Most people do, and you kind of tend to fall into it. Whereas what I found here was people were not afraid to choose a slightly different path. Okay, what if I don't do a degree? Doesn't matter. I can go and work for 5 years and then go back into education, say 15 years later. It doesn't matter when you do it. When I came to do my degree, my plan was always to go back in 4 years' time and, get a good job and settle where my parents are, because they were back in India. And then I got married after a while. Not straight after, that would not be good. I got a job here in London, so I started working, and then I met somebody, and then he happened to be from here, and we got married, and the rest is history now. It's very hard when you're living in a different country, and if you have a different set of values and culture you grew up with, to keep it intact, it's very difficult. But I do strive to do that in terms of, like, in Indian culture, the family structure is family is very important. I'm sure family is important for everyone, but when your parents age, it's considered your responsibility to look after them. And I think that's a nice sort of thing to keep. And there are elements like that that I do miss sometimes. I don't get to do as much as I would like to. But I do as much as I can. I try to think about it in my everyday actions and try to sort of bring it into my life. I do still think of India as home. I think that's because 16 years is a long time, and where you grew up, where you have your childhood, all that kind of comes to be the home. So I do think of it as home, although if I'm away from here for more than 2 weeks, I get homesick. So I can say I have two homes, maybe.
For me, it's interesting because I was born in England and my mother was Irish, so she did exactly what I'm doing now, in that she moved to England in 1984, always intended to move back, but didn't move back until 1997, so stayed there for quite a long time, but did make the move back. Personally, I always imagined that I'd move back. It's home, I suppose. But the reason I moved was mainly economic. It's very difficult to get the kind of job I have now in Ireland. So the reality is that Ireland can't offer the same variety that a bigger country can offer. And no matter how economically successful it is, that will always be the case. It's a country of 4.5 million people. Emigration is a part of Irish culture. It's in our literature, in our famous songs, and it's something people talk about a lot. There's a famous quote about, no longer shall our children be raised like our cattle for export. That's a paraphrase. But that is essentially what's happened for the last century at least. Yeah, being Irish is a strange one because it's a small country that has a big brand. A lot of people know something about Ireland, even if they know very little about the actual country. The first thing you'll hear is usually the Irish pub. Then you might hear something about singing. And then you might hear footballers like Roy Keane or Robbie Keane. So when an Irish person goes abroad, they're usually met with this brand. And in a way, it's a good thing. People tend to warm to you quickly. But that can also be difficult because people have a cartoonish view of Ireland, which has little or nothing to do with the reality. So often you have to break through the cartoon-like identity to actually communicate what being Irish is.